Maryland men's soccer is in uncharted territory, still searching for its first win in Big Ten play with only one conference match remaining. And they're in a spot they haven't been in years. We'll take a look into the Terps season coming up on the Left Bench in Focus.
The same old story for us that we come up a play short.
Welcome back to the Left Bench in Focus, presented by Terps and Sports Central. I'm Sam Jane, that's Maggie McGuigan, and today we're talking about a program that has been the pride of College Park for years until this season.
Maryland men's soccer has struggled mightily this season, but managed to pull out a win over an in-state opponent.
That's right. Already eliminated from Big Ten playoff contention, Maryland men's soccer still persevered to find a win against Navy. The Maryland starting 11 featured 7 freshmen in the non-conference contest, and a lot of that inexperience showed early on. In the first, the midshipman-made goalkeeper Saxon Wolcott earned his spot with multiple shots on goal. The Terps struggled to create opportunities, notching just 2 shots in the first half, neither of which found the back of the net. Coming out of the break, Maryland head coach Sasha Sharovsky made a whopping 8 substitutions, which was all part of his game plan prior to the tip-off of the game. Ironically, the first goal was created and finished by 2 freshmen who weren't even in the starting lineup. Kamani Stewart-Bays found Luke Van Hoekelum, who punched one in to give the Terps a 1-0 lead in the 54th minute. 3 minutes later, it was Van Hoekelum finding Stewart-Bays, who passed to Max Riley for the score, 2-0 Terps. Later on, Max Riley found himself in the right place at the right time for a second time to steal the 3-0 win for the Terps.
Obviously gutted with the result in East Lansing in the way that happened, because that obviously means that our season ends on Sunday. I've never had a season end in October, so it's very frustrating, but I'm very, very proud of the growth of our young players. And
the Terps are now bracing to head to Columbus to take on the Buckeyes for their last game of the season on Sunday. Ohio State claimed its spot in the Big Ten tournament with a win against Michigan State on Tuesday night, officially putting the Terps out of contention. The Terps lead the all-time series with the Buckeyes 8-2, winning the 2 most recent games. As Maryland seniors take the stage for the last time, still looking for a win in Big Ten play, the conference matchup will be a final showcase for them.
If the Terps continue the trend of poor conference play, it won't just be a disappointing season for Maryland. Frankly, it'll be historic. The last time the Terps didn't win a conference game was 1992. That was the last season before Sharovsky came into the program. Over 30 years since have fans seen this brutal of a year from Maryland. The Terps averaged 1.36 goals a game, which ranked 5th in the Big Ten. But a majority of those goals came at the beginning of the non-conference season when Maryland wasn't playing as strong of opponents. Maryland's top goal scorer was Stephen Capetti, who finished with a team-high 12 points on the year. But defense is where the Terps also struggled. Numerous young players were forced into roles, which caused the Terps to allow the 3rd most goals per game in the conference.
To help us break down Maryland's season, we brought on Terps and Sports Central's very own men's soccer beat reporter, Bode Ramsay.
Bode, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
I want to get started with, the question about Maryland men's soccer and how they're doing in Big Ten play. It's obviously been a struggle this year. What's been the biggest difference between this season and last when they were so good in Big Ten play?
I think it's mostly been uncharacteristic mistakes, really, from their defense. Their offense has been a lot more stagnant this year as well. I mean, you look at it, and there's a lot of games that happened this season in Big Ten play for Maryland where it could have just swung one way or the other on one play of the game, where against Wisconsin they have Jamie Lowe will go down with injury and it leads to a goal that ends up losing them the game. Penn State, they had another uncharacteristic mistake from the back from Micah Seeger trying to give out a pass. There's a couple games that just boiled down to one mistake, ended up losing them the game, really.
And we know Maryland struggled a lot throughout the season, but what kind of development did you see throughout the season?
I think you see a lot of the young players really come into their own as the season went on. I mean, you watch the attack, and after that Villanova game where they put up 6 goals, that attack has looked pretty great, honestly, from there on out. And freshman Kamani Stewart-Bains, Max Riley, sophomore, and freshman Luke Van Hoekelum have really just been a breath of fresh air into the offense, and teaming up with veteran Stefan Capetti, it's just been great from them.
I think you kind of look at that as the highlight of the year, but I think everyone expected, young players to have to step up and kind of it to be a little bit of a rebuilding year in College Park. But I don't think anybody expected this. Who would you say has been the biggest loss that they're feeling the most from last year, heading into this year? Because obviously a lot of key players departed.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, I think that the biggest loss really has to be Joshua Boma. I mean, he was a breath of fresh air when it comes to creativity in that midfield, getting open shots, goals, passes, just slicing through the defense. He attracted so much focus from opposing teams' defenses that it just changed the game for the team, and that's what the team was missing from their offense for those first few games. And now you look at it, their goals, their shots, everything with the offense, the production went down and I think that he was a big part of that for sure.
I mean, Boma's just so electric.
Of course.
You can't replace a player of that caliber for sure.
Yeah.
And to wrap things up here, what do you think Coach Surovsky and his team need to do in the offseason to prepare for next season?
I think they just really need to continue the development with the young stars that they have. I mean, the end of the season, like I said, they've looked a lot better. They've got that attack, those three, Kamani Stewart-Baines, Max Riley, Luke Van Hukelum, all coming back, and moving forward, they've looked great as a connection. There's midfielders like Leon Cole, who also had a big role. They need to continue to just develop their guys they have right now, develop those guys they have in goal as well with Micah Seeker, Saxon Wolcott. And as long as they keep on doing that and keep on moving forward and progressing the way that they did towards the end of the season, I think they'll be fine. I think that they can get back to their typical standards.
So putting you on the spot, was this year kind of an aberration, or do you think this is a sign of things to come?
I think that there's going to be a move in the right direction for next year, for sure. I don't know if it's going to go straight back to where it was, where you're immediately back in the title race and everything like that. But I definitely think that next year will be a much better year. You can definitely expect them to win at least one Big Ten game up to this point. And I think that it's just going to be overall better, yeah.
I think a lot of Terps fans will be hoping for that. And obviously, while this year was disappointing, you did a great job with your coverage. So we thank you again for that. Thanks again for your time as well.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
It's great to be on here.
You can find Bode's coverage on X at BodeR25679173 and online at TerrapinSportsCentral.com.
Stay right here, because when we come back, we'll be joined by TSC's very own Drew Owens to break down the shortcoming that cost the Terp a tournament appearance.
We'll also crown our MVP and the top 5 plays of the season. Don't go anywhere.
There are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. That's 1 in 5 daughters, sons, neighbors, and classmates who don't know where their next meal is coming from. Yet billions of pounds of good food go to waste every year. It's time we do something about it. Feeding America is a nationwide network of food banks that helps provide meals to millions of kids and families in need. Visit feedingamerica.org to help them feed even more. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
There's so many rewards in life. You coming into our home was one of the greatest rewards we could have ever had.
You know, it took 20 years, and I got my third child, who was 17 at the time.
It's so cool to watch the adult that you've become, and you really have done as much for us as you think we've done for you.
Welcome back to the Left Bench in Focus, brought to you by Terrapin Sports Central, where we're talking all about this year's Maryland men's soccer team.
Yeah, Sam, we've been over a lot already how this has been such a down season for the Terps, even after such a dominant 2022.
It's crazy.
From Big Ten champions to the bottom of the rankings, Maryland did not live up to its lofty aspirations set after last season. Since Maryland joined the conference in 2014, the Terps have never missed a Big Ten tournament appearance, and their elimination from the tournament this year breaks Coach Surovsky's 22-season streak of NCAA appearances. The Terps had a stellar 2022 campaign, going undefeated in conference play and winning the Big Ten regular season title. but they failed to reach the end goal, falling in the second round of the NCAA tournament. And while Maryland's current shortcomings could be attributed to the loss of some key players from last season, overall the Terps have been plagued by their inability to finish their shots. Missing all 4 penalty kicks they've attempted throughout the season, Maryland has just struggled to find the back of the net. But a youthful roster shows promise for the Terps as they hope to bounce back and live up to the program standard.
Like Maggie just said, this 2023 team looks much different than last year's and in previous years.
And here to break down how their shot at a tournament appearance this year was unsuccessful is Drew Owens. Drew?
Yeah, guys, this year Maryland was picked in the preseason poll to win the Big Ten Conference, but clearly that's not going to happen. Sasho Sarovsky's squad had high expectations going into the season after being crowned Big Ten champs last season, but they failed to have a similar season with the hardware to follow. The Terps had numerous missed opportunities and struggles in conference play, and unfortunately, this team will not be seeing the postseason. They are currently sitting in last place in the Big Ten with a 4-7-3 record. Unlike last season, the Terps haven't won a single game in the Big Ten. They had 5 draws and 2 losses, and certainly mistakes are what would cost the Terps many games, one of those being penalty kicks. The Terps struggled to score off penalty kicks in multiple games this year. They missed 4 that could have won them games against Rutgers, number 8 Wake Forest, and number 15 Virginia. Maryland's struggles have been primarily on offense. Aside from penalty kicks, they were also unable to convert their shots into goals. We can't forget about the time where they went on a 3-game scoreless streak in the end of September. Maryland also had pretty new roster after losing some key players after last year like Joshua Bolma, Malcolm Johnston, and Chris Randolph. The Terps then added some new players on the field in Luke Van Hooklam, Kamani Stewart-Baines, and Leon Cole, along with 7 other freshmen and 1 transfer. The starting 11 has been changing almost every game. One of the most prominent was at the goalkeeper position. Jamie Lowell and Micah Seeger would switch for the entire season. Although this new roster posed as a challenge this year, there's still a lot of potential and a lot of room to grow with a young team. And guys, the Terps' last game is on Sunday against Ohio State. This will be their last shot at securing a win in conference play. But you could say their hopes are more of a long shot. Back to you guys.
Yeah, I think that the biggest thing she talked about was the missed penalty kicks. I mean, between balls hitting the crossbar, sailing into the crew, I think it's just been a combination of bad shooting, but also tough luck per se. And I think that that's just been kind of one of the biggest aspects of this year's team is just the failure to capitalize on those chances, which has been a big reason for the struggles.
Yeah, and obviously they're already out of the Big Ten tournament, but I still think they have a lot to play for and something to prove going into this game on Sunday, so I still think it'll be a great game to watch.
I think they need the 1 win, so that's obviously one thing they can fight for sure.
Definitely. And while this season wasn't what the Terps expected, there was one player who stayed consistent through it all, and that's our MVP, Stephen Capetti. The senior forward led Maryland's 2023 campaign with 5 goals and 3 assists. While the Terps often struggled to finish their shots, it was number 10 who made the plays that mattered. On his senior night, Capetti scored the lone goal against Bowling Green and broke a 4-game losing streak. He also was the one to find the back of the net against Indiana, which sparked a light in his team that nearly gave the Terps the win. All eyes will be on the senior on Sunday when he shows out for one final performance with Maryland. Congrats to Stephen Capetti on being our MVP.
About Stefan as the MVP, and he's going to be in our favorite segment of the week. It's about that time for our top 5 plays from this season. Maggie, go ahead and get us started.
All right, let's do it. First up, number 5, we have Stephen Capetti with his goal against Indiana. A cross from outside the box, and watch this. Stephen Capetti taps it in, back of the net right there. That's all they needed.
We talked a lot about the freshman all episode, and today we're going to be talking about Luke Van Hooklam. His first career goal against the Michigan Wolverines. Beautiful play, sneaks in behind the defense, between 2 defenders, taps it right between the goaltender. Just a great overall shot.
And number 3, we have Stephen Capetti, our MVP, yet again with a breakaway on his senior night against Bowling Green. What a strike into the back of the net. Let's play that one more time. Here we go, Stephen Capetti. I mean, we named him MVP for a reason.
I mean, he's so good, and it's just one of those plays. And then here we come with a Brian St. Martin clearing it off the line against Northwestern. Northwestern's been so good all year, but look at this play to prevent the goal. Just so beautiful, and just a lot of effort you see from that.
And in our number 1 spot, it is the freshman again, Luke Van Hooklam's header off of a cross, hits the crossbar, and goes in. I mean, look at this play. Can you believe it?
The freshmen have been so exciting to watch all year, and it's going to be awesome to see them progress throughout their years in College Park. But that's all we have for today. For our next In Focus show, we'll be going all in on number 7, Maryland Field Hockey's program.
You can keep up with all of Terrapin Sports Central's coverage on X, Instagram, YouTube, and online at terrapinsportscentral.com.
See you soon.